excited to be here today to give you this first segment for all those Floriani Embroidery Club members. This is going to be a technique segment on a short video, and I'm with DJ Anderson, who happens to be over our software support and designs. He is our software guru for R&K, that is for sure, does all the wonderful creating. So DJ, this is going to be fun. We're going to show them today how to do this incredible trapunto.
Well, I'll tell you, Debbie, I'm pretty excited about this too. When this project first came about, I had never done trapunto before. And so I'd heard all these horror stories about how difficult it was. And so when I got to sit down and work with you on it, I was amazed at how simple this technique is. So I'm excited that we're actually going to do a series on this specific technique so that we can show everyone how simple and easy it is to do trapunto.
And it is fun because it's all been done in the hoop. And that's the great thing about it, because now all of these create a project in the hoop makes it so fun and exciting, because when you're all done, you simply can put your blocks together. All the stippling, all the quilting, and everything is totally done. So we're going to go through and explain how this works. Show you the products that we're going to use, DJ, because we've got such great products, of course. Not only products, but also our wonderful tools. We have our Floriani Heatcraft tool, which we're going to actually take and burn out the batting around the circles, and you're going to see how that works. It's pretty cool. We're going to use this wonderful embroidery pink perfection tape, and I'm anxious to show you this. We're also going to use our water-soluble topping and two different kinds of batting. And you'll understand this a little bit more as we get into it also, but we've put in the hoop from our Cooled It Soft line. This happens to be our bamboo batting, and that's what we're going to actually use in the hoop. But we're also going to use our Cooled It Soft polyester. So let's put these aside, DJ, and then I'm going to show you how this all goes together and works here.
Okay.
Another thing I want to share with you too before we start is our embroidery needles, because a needle is very important, and a lot of people don't understand how important it is to change needles often. We're so excited to have the chrome needles finally, because it actually lasts 3 times longer than your normal needle, and these happen to be, of course, Schmidt's needles, which are the best needles on the market. But I'm just simply using a size 14 quilting needle off of our needles that we have. So I've taken, and of course I have the design. Now you were the one that actually took and put this design through the software. And so you tell us a little bit about what you did for the software.
Well, it took a little while because I'd never done this before. So I had to figure out the technique, how to go about setting up the design to get it ready for the different stages of the trapunto. And it really wasn't, it's really not that difficult. You just kind of have to create a couple run stitch lines to help you know when you have to cut out around the objects you want to stick up. And so it really wasn't that difficult, as we'll see here as we're stitching it out.
Perfect. So since DJ created this in the software, I've simply taken it and I have saved my design on a USB stick. And of course, with the format that I needed for this machine happened to be in a PES format. Of course, they could save it to whatever format they wanted to for their machine. So the hoop that we're going to use happens to be this one here. Of course, our machine tells us what size of hoop for that particular design. And I have just hooped up our bamboo batting from our Cooled It Soft batting line. So I just simply have one layer of bamboo in the hoop. Now, once this is in the hoop, and this is the only thing that's going to go in the hoop, DJ, so we're going to actually now take our...
Now, before we get started, is there a particular reason why we use the bamboo to start with?
You know, because this was just, it's a cotton, it's got 50% cotton, and it was just a good base for us to start with, because we don't want a lot of thickness in there. We want this to be our thickness. We want this to be our loft. And you're going to notice I have 3 layers here. So I've taken 3 layers of the Cooled It Soft, and then I have 1 layer of our water-soluble topping. So we're going to put fabric on this, believe it or not. So there's going to be
Okay.
fabric on the top and there's going to be fabric in the back. And this won't give us the bulk, but yet still give us enough loft. But this is going to be our trapunto. And this might be a good place to say this is doing trapunto the Floriani way, using the great Floriani products and tools, all right?
I think what we'll find is there really is no other way to do it after doing this technique. It really is that amazing.
I did trapunto years ago, and it was a lengthy process to do this, and it was not all done in the hoop, that the block was totally finished on both sides. So this is a great project. All right, so again, I have my 3 layers of Quilted Soft, and I've just cut them just to fit in the hoop. Okay. So we're going to take our water-soluble topping, and I'm just going to simply place this over the top. Now this is that wonderful pink quilt perfection tape that happens to be my color, pink, all right?
Now, is there a particular reason why we want to put this water-soluble topping on the top?
That's a very good question, yes. Because if we did not, the presser foot would grab the loft and the batting and catch. This is going to give it a smooth surface to be able to do that stitching all the way around. Okay, so I'm going to just take and I'm going to just tape this down to my hoop so that it will hold it in place and not get caught. And this is a wonderful tape to be able to do that with.
This is just one of the many different uses for this
It's
tape.
awesome. And you know, I used to use DJ, what was called painter's tape, and it was blue, and it leaves the most sticky, yucky residue. And this doesn't have any kind of residue at all. And the great thing too is you can use this over and over on most projects. We probably won't be able to because we're putting on batting. When we tear it off, it's going to have all the batting stuck to it. Okay, so we're just going to simply take this and put it in our embroidery unit. And we're going to go ahead and let it stitch out. And what it's going to do is it's going to stitch all of the little circles, creating this loft here all the way around. So we're just going to let this stitch out, and you can see why the batting's so important, DJ, because if we did not, that presser foot would want to catch on that batting. And you can easily put a piece of tape on the other sides too if you feel like you need to hold it down. So we're almost done. We've just got a few more stitches here. So what we're actually going to do now is we're going to take this out of the embroidery unit, but we're not going to take it out of the hoop. So we want to be sure we leave this in the hoop because we don't want to, you know, move anything here. We want to be able to keep everything in the exact same place. So I'm just going to go ahead and remove this tape. See, normally you can reuse this, but when you're using it on batting, the sticky, it's going to pull off. So, but the great thing is about this tape is you can use it over and over. So we're just going to take and pull off the excess. Now, as you pull this off, you want to be sure and hold your hand on so we're not pulling it from the hoop. So we're just going to simply take and pull the excess off of the water-soluble topping. And we don't care about any of this. Another reason, DJ, that we're using the bamboo actually in the hoop too is because of this heat craft tool, because we're going to burn this excess away and it won't burn the bamboo because of it being cotton. So if you would mind handing me over that heat craft tool. Now that's pretty hot, so this little baby heats up pretty darn good.
And let me tell you, this was the first time I got to use the heat cut tool, and it was so much fun.
It's awesome,
sitting there
isn't
burning
it?
away.
It is,
Yes.
it's great.
Yeah,
Okay, so notice I'm just going to kind of pull this up. So be sure you watch your fingers from behind because we don't want to definitely burn those. But look how easy this is, how it just burns around this. And we're just going to get pretty close to this stitching. I'm just going to go all the way around this. It's going to have a nice little smell to it, all of its own. And then I just kind of pull this back to make sure that I've caught it all. Again, you don't want to tug this away, pulling it out of the hoop. And I'm just simply going around the circles. And the reason we're doing this is our trapunto. So it's going to stand up and give it that really lofty, awesome look.
You know, this is like one of those things that you do with somebody and you're like, oh, I wish I was doing it. Why do they get to sit there and play with the tools? Because it's just that much fun to burn it away. It
is fun. Isn't that cool how it just burns that? There's so many fun things to do with this tool. Of course, I'm the nut with this heat craft tool.
And did you notice that even though I said that, she still did not offer me the opportunity that
I need to share, so we'll leave the last bit.
Well, thank you.
I'm blonde. It takes a little bit to sink in. You're good.
I had a good teacher.
Oh, you. Awesome job. And don't worry about all of the stuff that's going to get on your tool. It's going to burn off. Just leave it on for a little bit. I have one of those little brushes that I actually take, good job, and just kind of scrape that off. So you can just kind of put it over to the side. Don't mind the smoke. It'll go away here in just a minute. But now you can see how we have burned all the excess away. And DJ just has this little cool little picture frame. I don't know if you want to find something to do with that, but hey. Okay, so now we have this. We're ready to actually put our fabric on the top. Okay? So the first thing I do is I put it on the bottom so that I don't have to worry about when I move it around. So I'm just going to simply turn my hoop over to the wrong side. And I'm going to take my fabric, making sure I get the right side up. And I'm going to lay it right over the top of that, right onto the batting. Now,
so we're not going to hoop it at all. We're just going to be placing it on the back side, making sure that that pattern's facing you.
Making sure that the right side is looking at you. So we're going to take this awesome tape again. So here, I'll let you tape one end. I'll tape the other. And it is important to use a long enough piece of tape. Don't get scotch on this because you want to be sure this holds down. I'll let you tape that side and I'll tape the other one. Because when you slide this back in, you don't want to make sure it doesn't catch. So don't be scotch on the tape. Be sure that you use a big enough piece. So now we're going to simply flip this over. And now we're going to put our top piece on. So what we're going to do is we're going to take another piece of the bamboo batting. And we're going to lay over the top of this so that we don't have any of this showing through if your fabric was light enough or the color was light enough. So we're just going to put this right over the top of everything we've done. Again, the fabric's going to go on the top with the right side up, looking at you again. And we're going to tape this down again. Just to hold this into place so that it doesn't go anywhere and doesn't catch on our presser foot. Super. So we'll just simply now put this back into the machine. And so what it's going to do now, it's going to go around all those again and outline those one more time. We have to. So it's going to go through and we're going to do all of the stippling and we're going to go through and do all of the little bubbles. And right now it's simply just going to do a tack down line to kind of hold our fabric all into place so that it doesn't move on us. So what we're doing, DJ, is we're just doing a tack down line. It's basting our top fabric and our back fabric all together so that then it's going to go back and do all of the little circles and all of the stippling. This is why this is so wonderful, because it creates everything in the hoop. So we have our back fabric on, we have our top fabric on. We're covering all of that on the inside. So it's going to go and do all of our little circles now. So we're almost done. It's just finishing our stippling. Great. Now you can see that it's gone around and it's done all of the stippling. And it's going to do now, it's going to go and outline all of the stitching around the circles again to make it even pop more. And I guess, what would you call that stitch, DJ? Is that just another running stitch?
Just another running stitch. It just kind of helps balance it all out, so you get a little bit more definition around those circles.
I like how you added that extra stitch, because it really does make it stand up. And I think that extra running stitch around the outside of that, where it's just about 1/4 of an inch away, makes it look so pretty. Okay, so you've noticed that we've done all of the stippling. We've done around our circles. And you can see this.
Yeah, I did notice that it's pretty puffy right here. Now, did you do that by design, or if you wanted to be flatter, could you have, cut out that fleece around on the inside as well?
You know, that's a great idea, DJ. You could have taken that heat craft tool and also burned that inside out if you wanted to, and that surely would give it a different effect.
I do kind of like this though, because it is puffy right there in the middle.
I do too, and
a little bit more dimension. That
is what Trapunto is. It is that puffy look. So that's why I chose to leave it. But that is a great idea to be able to do that. That's another option for you. So what I'm simply going to do now is I want to do the embroidery in the center of this. So I'm going to change my colors of thread. And DJ, if you'd hand me those little scissors, please. Mm-hmm. I always cut my thread and pull through. We're going to do a gold, and you're going to notice that I'm going to change the bobbin. Because
why do you change the bobbin?
Because if I didn't, I'd have white thread with a gold. So I'd have gold on top and I'd have white on the back.
So is this going to be reversible then?
It very easily could be reversible. Okay. And it'll look really nice on both sides. So we'll go ahead, and I've already got the bobbin wound here. We'll put the same color in and thread our machine.
I think you've done that a time or two.
Maybe just a few. Just a few. Okay, so I'm just going to put the hoop back in. Now, you can see the back here. Isn't that awesome?
It is.
Here's the back of our fabric, and everything is all covered. Okay, so we'll put this back. I do think that you need to kind of be careful with that wonderful Quilt Perfection tape. Sometimes if you don't get it down good, and when you slide your hoop in, it kind of wants to drag, and it can cause it to come off calibration. So make sure you have that tape on all 4 sides down really good to hold it. So we're going to now do the embroidery in the center part, and that's going to go right over that poofy part that you're talking about.
Okay.
And having the same color of bobbin on the back side will make it actually look like you could reverse it either way. So now that we're all done, I've just taken it out of the hoop, DJ, and I just take a rotary cutter and I've trimmed it off. You can have your seam allowances be whatever you wanted. I just added an inch to see what I might do with it. This is in the hoop project.
Oh, I was curious, what does the backside look like?
Isn't that amazing?
Oh wow, so by putting the bobbin in there, you were able to make it reversible.
So it really looks just like the front. So you totally have a block that's completed in the hoop. You've got this beautiful trapunto, and how easy is that to do?
That's really easy. And one of the things that I noticed that I really like about it is when you flip it over, these circles are actually puffing out on the back side as well as the front side. So I think that was really neat.
It is.
So I didn't know if it was going to be flat when you were done on one side but puffy on the other, but it
looks the same on both sides, doesn't it?
It's really neat.
And that is called the Floriani Trapunto way, using Floriani products and the Floriani tools. It's been so fun.
It's been a lot of fun. I'm glad that you invited me to come in and steal some of your time and
it's been great.
And camera.
Oh, DJ, it's been wonderful. We hope you've enjoyed this segment. Be sure that you stay tuned because we're going to have many incredible sewing stars that are going to actually do different techniques for you and different short videos. It's been fun. Please enjoy Trapunto, the Floriani way.